and we're always learning how to experience our emotions in a healthy way and to work through them. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. Hello, everybody. Hello, Tony. Welcome to our very last Tiff and Tony Show episode ever. How are you
I know.
doing?
I am struggling. I got to be honest. I am struggling. Because transitions are hard.
Yep.
Change is difficult. So it gets stuck, right? This is one of the issues, and emotions get stuck within us. And it's almost like, think about it. When you're afraid, and you hold your breath, it's that holding in, and we hold our emotions in. And that's what it feels like. It feels very stuck, and I don't necessarily want to talk about the transition because if I talk about it and we talk about this being our last episode, then suddenly that makes it real. And of course it is real, but I want to do everything I can to avoid it because I don't want to feel the emotions that come with it.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry you're feeling all that. I can relate for similar reasons and other reasons. And that's what we're talking about today is emotions.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
they're good for us to feel, even though they suck and they're hard sometimes. So why don't we just keep diving right in?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So the whole idea of emotions, right? We are human beings, and human beings are emotional. That's part of our makeup. An emotion is really just a series of chemicals in our body. That's really what it is when it boils down to it. And it's there for a specific reason. It's like a ship at sea, a lighthouse. When you see a lighthouse at sea, you know that there's a rock in front of you and it's telling you to change course, and so you want to change course. And emotions really do that for us. If we're out in the forest and we see a big black bear, the emotion that creates is fear, right? And what actually happens in that moment, the brain is unbelievable when it comes to this. It actually takes all of the blood circulating around from the thinking part of the brain, and moves it to the big muscle groups like our legs and our core. The stomach actually stops working, right? The stomach stops working because it doesn't need it at that moment in time. And so bam, you're ready to run. The last thing your brain wants you to do when it sees a bear and feel that fear is to think. It doesn't want you to go, what should I do here? I'm not so sure, right? It wants you to run away. These emotions are there for a reason. Feeling sad about the Tiff and Tony show ending is a feeling that's telling us that this is important to us. Right, this is an important part of PureGame and what we're doing, and so there's a sadness because this is important. And I believe that the Tiff and Tony show has done incredibly important work in the past. So of course I'm sad that it's going, and it's okay to feel this, because this feeling that I'm feeling should then drive me to want to then recreate something that does something similar to this.
For me, I've for a long time understood emotions as generally information. So, okay, I'm feeling something, so let me acknowledge it. Let me figure out where it's coming from, why I'm feeling this thing, maybe why I feel so strongly about this thing. Lots of times we'll be feeling multiple emotions at once. So how are those interplaying? And for me, it's all about what do I do with those emotions? When we're kids, we're still learning, even up until, our brain is fully developed. And really just into adulthood, we're always still kind of learning like how to respond when we're faced with our own emotions, right? And going back to what I was saying, like when we were kids, like a little kid, when you feel these big emotions, it's very natural to have big expressions of those emotions. And really, that's actually not that bad of a thing. I think it's mostly just about learning how to interact with them in appropriate and healthy ways. Because if we're at the grocery store and we're feeling all of our feelings and we're either feeling upset or sad, probably not the most appropriate place to have a meltdown or an anger outburst, you know? And I think probably most of our viewers can agree with that. And so I guess what we're talking about today is just how do we work through those emotions? Like what tool can we use to help us identify the emotions, work through it, and be able to move forward using that information? Sometimes that information is just like, oh, this thing, Tiff and Tony show's ending. I'm feeling sad about it. And there's transition ahead. And so there's fear of the unknown tied in there as well. Maybe that sadness can remind us that if we're sad about something, maybe it means that when we had it, it was really good. So we can turn that part of that into some gratitude. Like, this really cool thing that we got to do for 2.5 years was really great. And like you said, made some great impact. So we can both be thankful while we're sad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. Yeah, and that's it. There's you talking about the kids feeling all of their emotions reminded me of a story of happened a couple of weeks ago when I flew out to Nashville. There was a kid in the airport with mum and dad, and we were waiting to get on the plane, and the kids wasn't time yet, and so he was losing it and getting very emotional about it and letting everyone know his emotion. And it was hilarious because obviously the mum is trying to calm the child down, thinking that the child is making a scene, but there wasn't an adult around that child that didn't nod his head and say, yeah, I feel the same way, I want to get on the plane too. And it's that expressing in a healthy manner, right? We know that it's expressing it, and it's naming it. And Brené Brown obviously has got a lot of books and talks a lot about this. Her recent book is The Atlas of the Heart. It is a really stellar book. It's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a read, but it's more of a dictionary. It's where I bought the book, and I now go back to it and say, what am I feeling? And then I'll flick through, because she's got all of these different emotions. She's named them. And then it says where we go when we're disappointed, when we're sad. And so it's a really good read through to kind of get me, this is how I use it. I'll say, what am I feeling? And then I'll flick through and go, oh, I'm feeling disappointed. That's where I'm at. And then I'll read through, and it just reminds me of this is a normal human experience, is a normal human feeling. And I can now process that part in the brain as well. I can actually work through it and figure out what I'm feeling. So sadness, you're right. There is this other part of that is there's a process of being thankful for the work that we've done, and knowing this is normal. This is a saying goodbye to something that's been a big part of our lives. And so there you go. That's our challenge for our viewers today is don't ignore the emotion, because when you ignore it, all you're doing is shoving it down, and it's still there. That just creates kind of a toxic inside. And so we want to acknowledge, oh yes, I am feeling, name it, actually name it. And they've done the science on this. When you name it, it actually just brings it to the forefront. You don't need to dwell on it, because then you can sit there and go, this is normal. I can now understand why I'm feeling this. And then you can just move on, but acknowledge and feel it, and then move through.
You brought up such a good point about, you are a wise, educated, well-lived man. Obviously, you have a lot of life ahead of you. But the point is, you're still finding books that can help you process your emotions. So that's my encouragement to myself. That's my encouragement to all of you. It doesn't matter how old you are, how much life you've experienced. It's okay to need and find resources to help you understand your emotions and be able to move through them in a healthy way. So I want to remove any taboo, any like negative connotation that there might be, like, oh, I should know this by now. Don't should yourself. Just accept that we're human and we're always learning how to experience our emotions in a healthy way and to work through them. That's why people go to therapy so much. It's okay to need these resources.
And thank you for not saying you are a wise old man, because that made me feel better. Thank you for that.
You are welcome. You know, be as respectful as possible.
That's awesome.
In light of talking about transition and one thing ending and hopefully doors opening for new things, is Tony, is going to kind of move this content, this platform forward a little bit, just in a different way. So I'm going to pass it off to Tony to share what might be next.
Yes, thank you. And so we're moving this to a champion's journey. We believe at PureGame that we are all on a journey, right? We are on a journey through life, and we look up to and hold in esteem these champions. Well, we are all champions because we are all the champions of our own journey. And so there's things along the way that we can create as part of the champion's journey. And so taking this platform and doing something similar, but just calling it the champion's journey, and hopefully there'll be different types of lessons, and there'll be more growth opportunities within that. Maybe even looking to do the odd workshop from time to time to actually help get people on a call and actually help them work through some of the challenges that we've talked about in our past together.
Well, I think all of that sounds very exciting. I'm excited for what's ahead for both of us. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for these 2.5 years that we've been able to do the Tiff and Tony show together. It has been an opportunity that I didn't think I would ever be part of. So that's been really cool and challenging me. And that's kind of the whole point of this whole thing, is to be challenged and to keep growing. So thank you. And I will definitely miss you and Tiff and Tony show.
Yeah, and I want to thank you as well, because this part has been, it's been a special part of a Monday morning for me, because I've been growing through it, because I've had to look at, well, what are we going to talk about and how do I find out that content? And so this has been awesome. It's been wonderful interacting with you. I loved every minute. Thank you for our viewers. And we look forward to the growth ahead for everyone involved.
Yes. Well, thank you again, everybody. And we hope that you have felt encouraged and motivated by this too. Bye, everybody.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining Tony and me in these past 2.5 years. We hope that you have felt encouraged and motivated to keep growing with us. If you like what we do here at PureGame, one of the best ways you can support us is by liking and sharing this video with your friends on social media. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel using the button directly below this video on YouTube. And you can donate at our website, www.thepuregame.org. And with that, I'll leave you with this. Be kind to yourself and keep growing.